Welcome back to the Good Marshals Universal Podcast. I'm Dan Bernardo, and I'm joined with Keith Mosier and Bo Davis. So today, shoes or no shoes?
Oh,
What's the context?
Training.
Where?
Should you train with shoes or no shoes?
Where?
You tell me.
Depends on where.
Depends on where.
Outside, I don't want shoes on, depending on the place.
I mean, there's a certain point to that. Of course, the rule is governed by the owner of the school. And I know places where you're not allowed to wear shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I personally prefer having something on my feet because I always have something on my feet. I always wear shoes, so I always have.
I feel like you're such a no shoes guy. You just don't care.
Yeah, you're
the king of not giving a
you're
crap about
barefoot
shoes.
king.
I hate shoes. I absolutely despise them.
I
in
know.
every context, except for riding a motorcycle.
And
You have to have something on your feet to ride a motorcycle.
And they do have they do present problems because they're not built properly because of style. Style creates bad footwear. But as you've heard me argue before, in fact, just recently I saw another 30,000-year-old shoe that was found in this. Somewhere along the line, people said, these rocks and these spurs and these sand spurs, I don't like them. I'm a Homo sapien. I can fix that.
Got brains. I did the no shoes thing. All right, so I think I just forgot to bring a pair of shoes, but this was when we went up to Helen, for the castle thing. Dude, I was barefoot the whole time on that concrete too. That sucked. Wish I had shoes. My legs didn't work right for a few days. That sucked. But I also don't walk around barefoot like that either, so I'm sure that has plenty to do with it. But I will say this. Felt nice. You know those rock Zen garden things? They had one of those there.
Oh yeah.
I went in there with my shoes on, and it was raining. I felt awesome. Felt awesome.
The harder the floor, I mean a concrete floor on bare feet, 4 hours is rough.
Yeah.
And there's
2 days.
and then there's also the question of what are you training for? Why you train? If you're training for self-defense, you probably want to train in a method that's close to what your normal daily behavior is.
Mm-hmm.
This story of a guy that I used to train with, Steve, who trained karate since he was 4. And here he is in his 50s. And when I trained Okinawan under Sensei Logue, it was barefoot. It was barefoot outside. When Steve trained from a little kid up to an old guy, it was barefoot. I suggested to him one day, you should practice training in shoes. And he tried it for 1 week and quit right away. He said, I can't do it. I can't do it. I said, Steve, what are you going to do if you get in a fight? You just wait. I'll kick your ass in a minute, buddy. You just wait. You have to be
Put
at
the
least.
socks on.
You have to be able to at least do it,
Yeah.
right? Which, like in your case, since you're adverse to shoes, means at least occasionally train in shoes.
Sure.
So that you understand, okay, there is a certain restriction or not, or whatever. To me, I have no problem taking my shoes off. I would rather have them on, but I have no problem training with them off.
Yeah.
But there is an example of a person who had no problem training with the shoes off, but couldn't train with shoes on.
Right. So one of the things for me is I find that if you train without shoes all the time, it doesn't mean that you don't wear shoes all the time. So I have not run, your story, I think, might be a bit uncommon. I think
Probably.
most people, if you train without shoes, have no problem training with shoes, because the limitations of shoes aren't really a whole lot. Like it's not like you're gonna you have to train in high heels, or you have to train in,
That'd be fun.
you have
You'd
to
break an ankle.
Women should though.
I mean,
I agree.
or they could just break the heel, and I don't know. Like I just feel like
Oh, that's smart. I like that.
I
I'd want to learn how to use the heel.
use the heel.
That's why I was thinking
Imagine,
too. For some
imagine a spike heel.
And I
on
call
a
them
stomp.
stilettos for a reason.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I
stomp?
think
Whoa.
that
You were just taking it off.
so one of the reasons why I am adverse to shoes is because of what it does to us physically. Shoes, for the most part, while they are beneficial for not getting stuff stuck in your foot and therefore, not getting an infection and things like that, what they do, however, is mess with your entire postural chain, right? So like a lot of times if we squeeze our feet into shoes, and not everybody does this, and I think the world is getting a bit wise to this now, but when you squeeze your toes into toe boxes that are really, really tiny, it gives you bunions, it gives you all sorts of problems with your toes. And the way that we're meant to walk, the way that we're meant to move is toes straight forward, but our toes should be splayed so that we have a good amount of lateral stability. Like if you look at people who don't wear shoes and haven't since they were
It's a wide
babies,
toes.
wide feet, very, very
Yeah.
wide feet. The pointer, the big toe, lines up all the way down to the heel, where if people squeeze their feet into their toes, they go prump prump like this. And so what ends up happening is the feet go like this, and you end up getting people who stand and walk with their toes out.
Called me out.
Most Western society. So what that does is it takes the femoral head that sits inside of your hip joint and it moves it, which causes hip problems, which causes low back problems. So shoes just in general, if they don't have a wide toe box, are bad for you. So one of the most beneficial things about training without shoes is it develops the strength of your plantar fascia, it develops the strength of your ankle, it develops the strength of your shin, of your knees, of your, all of that chain going all the way up to your lower back. It makes it stronger. It allows you to grip. And if you're clinching with somebody and they move in a certain way, if you don't have the ability to subtly change your ankle, right? And you don't have the mobility and the strength in your ankle to be able to do that, you're just going to get tossed, right?
Yeah.
So there's lots of good reasons for training without shoes. But at the same time, you should also train with shoes when you can. So if you are outside or if you're on concrete, put on some good shoes with some wide toe boxes and
and
train.
always gonna recommend it
that
for
was like
concrete.
my original statement that shoes are poorly made because of fashion. The shoes I have on now, typically, if we went to a shoe store and were to measure them, you can see where my toe is. Typically, I would be wearing an 8.5. These are 9.5 triple E's. For that reason, a super wide toe box. I want my feet can slide around sideways in there. My toes can spread.
Yeah.
I try to find them. These are not the best example, but I try and find shoes that don't have heels or a raised heel for the same reason. Unfortunately, because it's clothing, there's a battle between function and fashion.
Yeah.
When I was a teen or in my early 20s, there was a shoe that came out called the Earth Shoe. And it was designed with all your considerations in mind. The toes were wide. It looked like a duck's foot.
Yeah.
And it was totally flat soled.
Yeah.
Wonderful for feet.
Yeah.
but you can't
Very funny
find
looking.
you can't find Earth shoe now because nobody liked the way they look. So form versus fashion doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an unfortunate side effect.
Yeah.
Well, shoes
But-
like yours are in fashion now.
But it's in fashion, but it's working for me
Yeah.
because I intentionally go oversized, like in a major way oversized.
They
It's
like
one full-
oversized too
it's
now.
it's one full size longer, and it's triple E. It's super wide or quadruple E, 4E, super wide, in order to reduce and prevent some of the things that you're talking about. It's still not ideal to me. I really like wearing deck shoes because they have perfectly flat soles.
Yeah. Yeah.
My counter argument being, if the sole is perfectly flat, it is no different, and there's sufficient room inside the shoe, it's no different than me standing on the floor. I just have a moving floor, right? And so I can grapple or whatever, and yeah, I can grip with my toes, and my feet can even move a little bit inside the shoe. Heel is kind of an issue, and that's what I mean. These have a
Right,
slight elevated
right.
heel, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, like the only thing you don't get is the ability to grip the opponent with your foot.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's the
But-
most underrated part. Is you ever just like pinch somebody with your toes?
Oh, sure,
That's
sure, sure.
hilarious.
Yeah, dragging toes, putting your toe on the top of their
Just kind
of their instep. and-
Take something.
Yeah,
Like-
I don't get to use my toes, but my students will tell
the
you
rest of it is-
I'm constantly stepping on your feet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it is very, very similar. I think they make a lot of really good training shoes now. The Chinese Feiways. Yeah, I mean I wear them all the time. Right now I wear a brand called Velo, which looks identical to them, but they don't have the branding, which is why I like them because I can wear them kind of anywhere because they're just plain black,
Yeah.
But yeah, the issue I think really is that shoes do that with your feet. I mean, it's just kind of like everywhere, and I think it's starting to get passed down genetically.
Oh yeah, I'm wide. You ever see me just stand?
There are
Well, I think
I'm wider than most.
some of it
like
is
here.
some of it is
a lot of people are.
and whether you can say genetic, it may even be a genetic from before shoes. There are people who
Maybe.
duck walk,
maybe.
and they just always have. I
Shoes
know
have been around for a while, a long time. I think to be
Oh,
able to.
oh yeah, but I mean there are
To modify
there are
their
some
genes.
people it is so pronounced that I don't know that you could blame it on shoes. That's the way they walk.
Like I'll literally be standing like this. That is wide. I can feel that in my back. now
I'm
as you
very
mention it.
I'm very straight.
My wife has very wide feet. My son has very wide feet. My daughter does, but she also dances, so like she's always very, very wide. I have a student who's also a ballet dancer. Like, I mean, it's just the way that they've trained their feet to stand.
Train their feet, train their hips. And this only barely relates, but it has some value. I have always been fascinated with the way John Lennon stands. Like, subscribe, make a comment.
And share with all your friends.
Hit the notification bell.
All those things.
Ding, ding.